And we are live. Hi, this is Tina Ballet with a blog. Blog. New settings, different settings as far as the live stream goes. And other settings. Um, Lots of settings. I have did some research and have since learned of some new resources. Well, not new resources, new to me, new resources, and some new reading resources to me. And it's it's abundance. It's been abundant. So I'm feeling the abundance. Just for the past few days, I've been basking in it, basking in the abundance of reading resources um, that are available. Um, really, these past couple of days, really going back and forth and looking at all the resources available for reading and book accessibilities. Uh, so these resources have broadened my book accessibility. Um, I think I started with one resource, and that gave a plenty, but it was limited. I'm trying to think if it gave more than I already have. That's what I'm thinking on the spot. Let's see. The first resource. I don't think it gave more than I already had. It was good to know though. Maybe it gave a little sprinkle. It gave a little sprinkle of a little sprinkle of a little more than what I had. So I was like, I was into it. I'm into it. And actually, let me back up. Let me back up. Hold on. Back it up. Hold on. Let me see. Where did I read that at? Because I have since these resources I've been basking in, since I have read like one book twice, back to back. And then I started on another book, and then I started another book as well. So I've started on one of the books is a revisit for me. Um, and I'm reading it with a book club. I don't have all my book club books ready yet. Just because I've been looking at the resources and what all is available, I'm just in awe of the plethora of reading materials and resources. So I have read some samples. I've also read some books that will not get clocked. Um, and I started January off with a read. Um, I'm trying to. Oh wait, no. That was December. December. I learned about a resource, and it allowed me a book that I didn't have access to till I utilized the resource. And that was the end of December. I think maybe December 30th, maybe to the 31st. I was reading a book that I didn't have access to prior to that, and I was able to enjoy said book. And then in January, so that was one resource. Another resource, and I just got access to a couple of days ago. Um, couple few. I was able to get a book that I couldn't get. Actually, I was able to get like one, two, three. So two authors I wasn't able to get their books till I utilize this next resource. Uh, so it's given me like a broader span of books with this second additional resource. So I've been enjoying that. I read a book that I felt like I had to reread right then and there. That was fun. However, like the second reading was different from the first, but it still was hitting where it was hitting though. It was hitting where it was hitting. In the previous one, in the previous read, I had fun with that book. Oh my goodness. Uh, um, I shared said book on social medias. Um, I may share a bit more. Um, I had fun with that book. So yeah, my second resource got me that that book I had fun with. First resource gave me a good read for the closing of December, and then the second resource gave me a great resource for the start of January. Yeah, yeah. So that's how that's going so far. And the both of them, I'm reading books from the both of those resources um back to back now. I got a book on one, the first resource, and then I got a book on the other one that I'm reading. So I'm excited. I did get my hands on the Love After Midnight book, that I was looking forward to reading back when it released a few months ago. So the second resource allowed me that book. So yay! I did, like happy. I finally got it. So I said that I was going to stop everything and read that book because that's just how I was feeling. So I was in the middle of a read and I did pause and start reading Love After Midnight by Sister Soldier. However, after I got it started, um I did pause it and went back to my other read because I think I was reading the book that I was enjoying. Uh, so I went on ahead and went through that book so I could read it the second time. I think, yeah, I was reading it for the second time. Went on ahead, finished it, and then now I'm reading Love After Midnight by Sister Soldier, and I'm reading Children of Blood and Bones by Tomi, and I'm reading Children of Blood and Bones with a book club. This go round reading that book with a book club. So the first time I read the book, I read it without a well, I didn't read the whole book. I stopped at the beginning after the training. I think maybe when she I think I stopped at the training. I might have went Yeah, I remember the training. So I stopped at the training when she got I think so anyway, so now I'm reading it this year with a book club and I have got past the training part and I'm on the part where I think it's her brother um came and said something and now they're going to go check on somebody. And it's kind of I don't know, like with this book, with the book club, I do have my notifications on. So it's like everybody's off to the races reading this book, have read this book, is rereading, and it feel like some people just like just reading this book, just reading like I like I was in with the previous book in the same book club. I was like I was reading Winter, what is it called? The Dead of Winter. I was reading that book like so I was like one of the first ones finished with that book and then I would chat with other people that are like catching up. I would go back and chat with them as they caught up with me or caught up with my comments. But in this book, um, I I feel like I'm at the starting line, and other people are like, I mean, I've started the race. I'm like 4% in, but I got the notifications on, and the note and what I'm seeing is like people are like so far uh, uh, into the book that read their I won't read the notification. I I won't read their comments like right now. I'm pushing away the not notification, even though the notification just really tell me that so and so uh commented in chapter so and so. So like all the chapters are like way ahead, right? So I'm like, I can't even chat right now. Like I gotta I gotta be reading. Like I almost want to turn off the notification. I'm like, how can I turn off this notification to this club? It's all right when I'm when I was ahead, and then I could um go back. But uh now that it's me catching up, and I'm really, I don't know, I'm not reading the book that fast right now. So I don't know. I don't know. It's like the total opposite of the previous book that I read. Which is fine because I was reading other books. Like I've read like one, two, and then I started a third one, and then I read a few samples. So, so it's like, uh, yeah, like y'all go ahead. It's like y'all go ahead. I'll catch up. Uh, so, but yeah, I'm figuring out how I'm going to read this year. Like, I'm I've added another book club, which is actually the first book club I was invited to. I just didn't know where to go. I'm like, where y'all at? So now that I have the actual location, I'm like, okay, here I go. And then uh I was able, like, okay, so the first book club that I was invited to, like, I don't know what, last year or the year before. Maybe it was last year. No, it was the year before. Um I would read the book, and then I did my best to share my comments where I saw I could share comments. Um, I didn't notice any interactions with that though, so that's why I'm like, I felt like I didn't know where the party was at. Like I was invited. um, so that book club, some books I could get, and then some books I couldn't. So more books I couldn't than I could. So I did read the books that I could get, and then the books that I couldn't get, um, I just was like, okay, well, I I can't even get those books, so it's all right that I'm not in the book club, but I did enjoy the books that I could get. So now with the resources available that's been presented to me and that I have welcomed, I am able to get a book that I wouldn't if I didn't utilize the resource. So now um, the book club has been presented to me again, and I can get the book. So I'm like, okay, book downloaded, club entered. And then I'm like, I don't know. Like, I do have a bit of hesitation because there is another book club that I'm in, and I did read the sample, and then I kind of wasn't feeling it. I was like, no. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was like, okay, is this the year I'm about to be picky with my reads? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what's my reading style this year? Like, I don't know if I'm, because last year I just read anything anybody recommended to me, which were excellent recommendations. I will continue to read those recommendations uh, as I continue my readings. Um, it's just this year, considering that I do have so many recommendations already, it's like the new books that I'm being presented, it's almost like I'm halting. Like, halt. Like, wait, I've already read a similar book like that and I didn't care for that book. So it's like, I don't know. It's I mean is reading one book to where I'm like, yeah, wasn't feeling it. Like when I approach another book that's with the similars, do I be like, do I pass it up because I've already read one book? Is one book enough to say, oh, I don't like that type of book? I'm feeling like I'm molding into the book, the 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 books that I like. Like I can like, nah, I ain't feeling that book. But it's in my book club and I do have the book available thanks to the resources that I have. Like I'm like, yes, I get to get that book. So now it's a choice. Like I've moved from being uh I've moved from just having the books that were available or not, and reading what was available and not being able to read what wasn't available, to having a choice like, hey, all of this is available to you now. Which one do you want? It's like, okay, I get to be picky. Oh, so I'm liking the options, and I'm liking the pickiness, which is fine for me. I just, am like feeling like, what's enough? Like how many of a certain type of book do you need to read to know you don't like that style? Or could it be that particular book you didn't care for, and then maybe this book that seems similar would turn out to be different to the point where you like it. So I'm I'm open. I think I'm open. I, I'm keeping it open because uh I got the books. They're available. It's like it's available. They're available. Like I get to read them. I get to read them or not. It's a choice. Like this is so wonderful. And then I could take my time and read it. And so yeah, I was feeling it. Like this is wonderful. This could go in any way, either way. And then I'm looking at the dates of the kickoff for the book reads, and it's uh, aligning with the my reading opportunities. So that would be a reason for me to read as well. It's like I have the opportunity to read. So I did have that hesitation the other a few months ago. Like I had like a maybe a 2 day hesitation to where when I finally read the book, I was like, I could have been finished with this book 2 days ago. To stop hesitating. So I am enjoying reading books at the drop of a dime. Like, yes, like give it to me. Like I'm reading it right now. Not now, but now. So I have been reading some books like that. Um Quite a few actually. A few of them were book recommendations to where somebody is like, hey, this book, okay, so my first, well, no, I can't even say my first now because I've read several books now. um so I'm trying to give you guys the specifics. So my top 10 horror books. And then I was saying to myself, how did I get here? I started off with romance book. How am I in the horror book section now? But romance books turned into fantasy. Fantasy turned into thriller turned into horror. So then my results started looking like, hey, this top 10 horror book video, this top 10 book horror video. So I looked at a few of those, and a few of those were like, oh, my top 10, my number one. This number one book was so scary. Ooh, so I saw like about 3 videos with the same top one book. I was able to get said book. Um, so I began reading it. I was like, okay, you said scary, you said scary. Okay, you said that, and I'm listening. I hear your context clues. Oh, I figured it out already before I read the book. So I began the book. I'm like, yeah, I'm right. But actually, before that, I went to Netflix. The book had like a Netflix sticker on it. Um, so Netflix has a movie or available on Netflix based on the book. So I looked at the trailer and I'm like, yeah, I know where this is going. I already figured it out. I actually figured it out when I read the title. Like, I read the title, I looked at the title, and I could figure out what the book was about already off top. And then I saw a couple of book reviews, and like the last book review, a person was like, yeah, you're not gonna know where it's going or whatever. And then I was like, oh, I know where it's going. So that gave me a hint. It actually confirmed what I already knew because I could already tell where the book was going just by looking at the cover of the book, um, and the title. And then the first person I saw that said, "Hey, this is my scariest book," I didn't listen to their context clues. And I didn't realize that I had to listen to people's context clues and like you do in the reading. And then I'm gonna throw this in here because I want to talk about it as well. Like, as far as reading goes, are we supposed to be, not supposed to be, but I want to say that, are we supposed to be reading the text? Are we supposed to be detectives when we're reading? A lot of people read to be detectives. Like, they trying to solve the mystery along with the book instead of uh allowing the book to reveal what's being presented. So I saw a lot of that within the book club, that a lot of people were trying to figure out the book. Perhaps they got a hint of clues, but then they were trying to figure it out. And I guess we all were, but it the question arose in me, being a blossoming reader. What is reading? Is it reading to be a detective, or is it reading to read what's revealed? So um that's how I felt. I was like, I mean, we don't necessarily have to figure the book out. We're reading it, so it will be revealed. So yeah, that was the reading to be a detective came from me reading Dead of Winter. Uh, and reading to be revealed came from reading uh the Netflix novel, the Netflix movie based on the novel. And so yeah, I watched the trailer to that, and I was like, oh yeah, I already know where that's going. So I had my context clues. Now back to the first reviewer. I didn't read the context clues. I just allowed what was being revealed. And then I read and then I read the book, and then I had my own feelings about the book, and then I related back to the context clues, the review of the book. And when I did that, I heard the context clues. Like, when I was watching the review, I heard it, but I I was stuck on more of the subject of the video, which was horror books and things. So when I read the book for myself and then related back to the review and how the context clues stuck out more, I was like, well, they did say that it was scary to them, and that if it wasn't scary to you, make your own list. So those are context clues that say, hey, this you may think different, and you, you take it. You take it. Take it how it's presented. Use your context. I'm giving you context clues. It's your fault if you don't heed the context clues and you just think that this book is the subject of the title of the video. That's how I saw it after I read the book. I read the book, even though I knew where the book was going before I watched any reviews of it. I knew where it was going. So I almost was like, I looked at the title. I knew where the book was going just from the title, just from the book cover. And I asked myself a quick question. I didn't even allow the question to get cold. I was like, it was like a question like, should I read this title? Should I read this topic? This topic. Should I um intake this information? Because I knew where it was going. And that was the question I gave myself, the questionnaire that I gave myself. Like, and so then I read the book, and then I felt some kind of way. One, because I felt deceived, Lord. I felt deceived. Yes, I felt deceived from the reviews. I felt deceived. I felt deception from the reviews. But then I I I took a listen to the context clues, and I'm like, wow, I really had to listen to somebody's context clues. Context clues just doesn't adhere to reading alone. I have to listen to the words that are coming out of their mouth. As far as context clues, I'm like, what? I did not know I had to pay attention to what context clues was coming out of somebody's mouth. So, yeah, I went through that. And um yeah, with that, I mean, that was a grand lesson. A grand lesson in that um that's and what a grand lesson. Um, what else? So I did read the book, and then after I read the book, I watched the movie, and I love how the movie depicts what's going on in the book. Um, and when I was reading the book, under I understood what was going on before things popped off. Like, just this, I already knew what the book was about with the cover, the book cover. Oh. So, anyways, so I was reading the movie. I was watching the movie, and I love the depiction. I was like, oh yeah, that's beautiful. Like, there's a scene, there's a few scenes in the movie that I saw in the book through. I could read through the lines. I saw it through the lines of the book. Um, because that's where I felt it was going. That the book had a bit of feeling, with the detail of the the house visit. It had a bit of detail with the house. I could tell. I could I could read between the lines. with the books. That's why I was like, what? I gotta read the person that's talking like a book. What? Like, wow, context clues aren't just for reading. Wow. So that's a big lesson to use the context clues when listening to somebody. Which, it's like, yeah, yeah, I hear you, I hear you. What's the book about? Like, it's like, I hear you talking, but you done told me this is horror, so I'm thinking I'm ready for that. So I went on ahead and read it, even though I knew where it was going. And then so I had to sit with it because I can say, oh, it shoulda, coulda. But the book was what it was. So you really, when you're saying shoulda and coulda, and it coulda went like this, and it shoulda went like this, and why didn't it go like this? Then you're making a whole nother book. So I sat with what the book presented because that's what a book is. To the next one, and then so I'm just like, okay, this is what someone created. This is where they went with it. I saw where they were in the book. I saw where they were attempting to kind of fake left. They kind of did a like a little fake left a little bit to kind of throw you off the scent, I guess. But I was on it. And but yeah, they did a little fake left in the book, but in the movie, it was beautifully depicted. Um, um, yeah, I'm trying to think at the end. It really didn't do what the book did. The movie didn't do what the book did. The movie had some differences. Yeah, the book, the book, yeah, there was some differences. I'm trying to think. Um, the movie didn't fake left. The movie didn't do the little um tried to do like a double ending type thing. Well, I mean, depending on your definition of that, but it wasn't like the book. So yeah, I'm liking reading the differences in the books and the movies. Um, I don't know if I like the book better. I didn't mind the movie. The movie was all right. The movie was good. Um, yeah, like I was on it. Like I I knew, and then with the book giving a bit more information, I knew too. I was like, oh, this is what's happening when dot 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 boop boop boop. So yeah, that book, um, and the movie is a good read and watch. Um, is that it? That was a lot. Like I sat on that for a few weeks. I actually, after watching that movie, felt like I was. I think I presented a question like, what is your reading cleanse? I feel like I need a reading cleanse. I need to cleanse my reading palette after reading that book. That's how I was feeling, because it wasn't just the book itself, it was the realization that I had to read people's context clues instead of just taking them for their word, like, hey, this a horror book. Like, okay. I don't know why. I maybe it's because of the title. Because then I started thinking, okay, maybe it's because this is context and no content. This is content. This is their content. So yeah. So yeah, which is fine. I read a book off the dime. I read it. That was an adventure all its own, hearing about a book, being able to get it right then and there, and then reading it, that's a whole adventure right there. So after I read that, I felt like I needed a cleanse, like, because I already knew what type of book it was going to be just by the cover. I'm like, oh, should I subject myself to this information here? And then I did. And then I did. So what, like, where I know some people draw the line at books and they don't read books for whatever reason. Um so they may not even cross genres um for certain reasons. So yeah, I hear a lot of people, they have their reading styles and they have their genres. And I also hear a lot of people saying that and saying, hey, come try this genre. So come try this genre, come try this book. So that's why I went on ahead and read it. I felt I felt like it was safe in doing so because other people had read it. So yeah, I was introduced to a new book and a new movie and enjoyed both of them. Um, as best as that book can be enjoyed, because the movie ends differently. If you watch the movie, you don't know what I'm talking about. If you don't read the book, if you do not read the book, you don't know. Um, so yeah. Um, so I am enjoying different genres. Uh, I do have some movie books lined up, books based off movies and vice versa. I do have those in a wish list. Uh, those books are, in the wish list, wishing that they were read. Uh, so yeah, I do have a list that are download, and then I have a wish list of books that are waiting to be read. They wishing they was read. So my cleansing palette, I'm trying to think what my cleansing palette was right after that book. I don't know if I read a book right after that book and before uh Tiffany Haddish's The Last Black Unicorn. I don't know if I read a book in between that right now at the now. I have shared all my statuses. I have learned how to share my monthly reading statuses, so I have shared those. Um, so yeah, Tiffany Haddish's book, The Last Black Unicorn, is awesome. It's so awesome. I enjoyed that book. It was an excellent, joyous, emotional, overcoming, sad book. Like, I mean, it had all the emotions, it had all the get backs. It was a great gift to read. She gave plenty of information. She shared. Um, she was emotional. When she was emotional, I was emotional. When she was happy, I was happy. Like, I was about to heave whole ball a few times with her sharing what was going on. I had to take those breaks to catch my breath and calm myself down during that book. It was such it's such a delightful book. Uh, Tiffany Haddish's The Last Black Unicorn. I was able to read with um, the utilization of the uh, resources that I just learned about towards the end of December. I was hearing about them. I finally took heed and applied said resources to my advantage, and I was able to get that book like like that. And so I started reading it and enjoying it, and I was able to finish it, I think December 31st. Um because of like up the updates when I press finish on any of the social medias, my Goodreads didn't catch it. So it did say I read 79 books for 2024. It didn't catch my last book because I did finish it on the 31st at night. So I'm thinking maybe the cutoff time for that for my Goodreads update was a little earlier than when I finished it. Um, my other book tracking resource, it did catch it. It did catch it, and it said I read 80 books for 2024. Um, and it gave, and then yeah, it said I read 80, so it caught it. And then my other book resources gave me my book stats for the whole month, um, dates and pages, and I'm like, how do you know how many pages I read in a day, and um, book lengths. And for December, I thought I read 20 books for December because of how my other resource was looking. Because when I counted, I thought I was counting 24. Like I only counted up to 24 books. I mean, excuse me, the big reveal it was 24 books. 20 books. I was only counting 20 books, but With my other book tracking stats, it clocked 24 books. And I was like, what? I thought I only read 20 books. I done read 24 books. Yeah, so it was cool to see what the difference in um the way the book tracking resources tracks books. Like, it tracked the number of pages, the books, the days, like different ones. Each one tracked something different. So I'm using like one, two, three, at least three book reading trackers. At least three reading trackers. And I'm liking it. I'm liking what each one presents. Uh, yeah, I'm liking what each one presents. Um, because I was shown one and I didn't know how. I was like, how do you know? Like, someone showed me, like, they were like, "Hey, I'm on story graphs." So I went to story graphs, but I didn't know how they were doing it. And but I found out, and since I found out, I have shared all the months that I read, all the months that I read, because in 2024 I read like two books in April, and then June I didn't read. May, June I didn't read. Okay, so January I didn't read. February I didn't read. February, March I didn't read. March, April I read a couple of books. Started a couple of books. April, May I didn't read. June I didn't read. July, at the end of July I started reading. August is when it popped off. Um August, September I read. October I read. November I read, and December. I think November was my biggest reading month. Um, I read 28 books. That's what's clocked. So 28 books in November. I tried to reach November's goal when I thought I only read 20 books in December, but with these stats, I get to see, um, because I just, with me tracking, I was going by memory. So, yeah, it's cool to have these trackers. That way you don't have to go by memory, and everything is pretty much there, give or take uh, a few titles. Uh, and then that's the titles that I added. So if I did read something that I didn't add, then that doesn't get counted because I didn't add it. So it could be more or less, depending on if I read something that I don't add, which I have. I have read things that I haven't added to my trackers. So yeah, 28 books in November, 24 books in December, um, which I was like, wow, that's almost like a book of all the. I was like, could I have read 25 books? But then I was like, nah. I mean, maybe I could have read 25 books, but 24 books is pretty cool because the days that I didn't read, I really was recovering from reading. I was recovering, Lord. Um, I did. I say the key to reading a lot of books is reading short books. That's what I think. That's what it's looking like. I don't know. I don't know that to be sure because I did share my November reads, so I don't know if those books were short. But also read a bunch of books at one time. I'm like, is did that help? Did that help that I was reading a few of them books at the same time? Not all of them. Like towards the mid. What's the end of December? What's considered the end of December? Because towards the end of December, like I read, I read, what do you say? One book at a time. I read one book at a time towards the end of December, and enjoyed that one book at a time. Um, in the holidays, that was a cool read. Um, yeah, that was a cool read. I like how it balanced out because it started off serious, or not so much as started off serious, but after the first scene, towards the second scene, something serious popped off. And then after that, it balanced back out and became a joyous book read. So that book was a little fun for me. It was alright. It was alright. Oh, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the main character, and yeah, I enjoyed the main character and her uncle. I think that was her uncle, and where it went. But like some, I don't know. It was all right. Yeah, I like the main character. She was all right. Her and her uncle. Um. So yeah, I ended off December reading one book at a time. Um. Now I'm reading a few books at a time after this is after I did read one book at a time. I read the first book of January. I read all on its own with no other book, and then I finished reading it, and then for the second, and then I read it. I reread it because the book trackers, they were saying like you can reread books and they'll count. And I was feeling this book. I mean, feeling it. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be my first reread. Let's see if it even takes as a reread. And in one of my book trackers, it looks like it took as a reread. In my other book trackers, I don't know if it took as two books or if it took as one book. But each of the book trackers said that it would that rereading was counted. So I started the month off, uh, you know, putting things to the test. You say you're gonna do this, okay? Well, here we go. We're gonna do a reread right off the top of January. The book was fun. I was feeling it. Um, but I also was feeling something else. I did allow myself to enjoy the book, but I could hear the seriousness. Uh, I was reading it and I was like, I'm gonna enjoy this book, but on the other hand, I am hearing some misguidance, um, because of new some information that I have learned, um, and I will be rereading another book coming up with my private book club, um, because of that information. I was able to discern, read the context clues. I was able to read the context clues. I was able to discern some red flags. I could hear the red flags. I was like, but I wasn't so much the first time. The first time I was like, okay, I hear it. However, I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy the book. But I hear it, but I'm gonna enjoy the book. I see where if you don't have that information or you don't apply it, I can see how somebody could get wrapped up in there. Like, um, the book is showing you how this relationship is going down, and then when you know better, you do better. So that's why I was able to discern, like, mm. But yeah, I did enjoy the book, and then when I reread it, um, that whole brand new feeling wasn't there. However, when the feeling did come, it hit every time. Like, I was like, okay, did I put my defenses up? I think I put my defenses up with this book. I I went into the second read to enjoy it, but I didn't allow myself to enjoy it like I did the first time. I did put my defenses up, and I was like, oh, I did feel my defenses going up, and then I was like, ah, can I let them down? Like, I really wanted to enjoy this book for the whole enjoyment of it. So maybe I'll read it again. I don't know. We'll see. I did, I started discerning the book, and I was like, eh, eh. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Um, so now what's on? So, Blood and Bones, getting more into that. I'm only 4% in, so I'm still kind of at the beginning where I was the first time I started reading this book a while ago now, probably years ago now. So I kind of really can't say anything more about that. Love After Midnight. I'm trying to figure out, has she done slipped back into an coma, Lord? Because she trying to recall stuff. Oh, spoiler alert! If you hadn't read the previous book, if you haven't read the previous book, it's called Life After Death. It's called Life After Death. And that book, I don't know now, but I think that book got me ready for the book that I just finished and read two times, because it had some similar characters and some similar situations that popped out. And so it wasn't like I was new to this. I was true to this. Like, I had been presented with said situation, and it felt like I couldn't enjoy it in Life After Death, but I could enjoy it with this new book. I could enjoy it. I was like, wow, I can enjoy it for all it's worth. Like, yes, let's go shopping. Uh, So okay, so no, Love After Midnight right now. Oh my goodness, the way it starts is so beautiful. It's so poetic. And I saw a book club that had just begun reading this book, and they saw that I was reading the book. They commented on me reading the book, and they were like, I hope it's better than the last book because boop boop boop. And then I'm like, I don't even know what to say to that because I enjoyed the last book. I'm like, do I say I enjoyed the book, or I mean I did? Like, what are you talking about? Like, come on, like Life After Death by Sister Soldier. That book I had I actually set it down because I didn't understand the character dynamics, the new character dynamics, because I had never read about different characters. I've never read a fantasy book as an adult. So when it came to different character interactions, I was like, ooh, and with their descriptions, I didn't concur. Like it wasn't computing. Like I had hit a loading circle. So I set the book down, and then um, I read Legends and Lattes. And Legends and Lattes introduced me to different types of characters and their descriptions. And then I was like, oh, okay, 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 okay. So then I went back and reread Life After Death, and then I could see the depictions of the characters that were being presented to me in Life After Death, to where I couldn't see them before. Like I could kind of see them, but not with a clear view, because that was my first introduction to a different type of character inside of a book. So yeah, thank you, Legend Lattes. Yes, thank you so much, and thank you, Sister Soldier, for presenting, that type of that difference that uh, I I welcome, so that I could be diverse in my uh in the characters, the different characters that are available and ready to be introduced and met and known and loved and liked and hated and and whatever else. There's a whole bunch of different other characters that I'm being introduced to. So yeah, I don't know what this Love After Midnight about to be about, but I'm ready. uh so yeah, but I liked Life After Death. I like the different sceneries. Yeah, I like the different settings. Like I was for it. Like I wasn't trying to figure anything out. I was just allowing the book to present to me what it had. So that's you know, how do you read? Are you trying to be a detective in your reading, and then are you mad because it doesn't, are because you hadn't solved the case, or because you could solve the case? Or are you allowing the book to reveal itself? Are you allowing the flower to blossom. So, uh, Love After Midnight starts off so beautiful. I love the cover of it. I love the poetry of it when it starts out, and the beauty and the details of it. So now something has happened, and Winter Santiago is trying to um, figure out what's happened. So she has this method of how she recalls things after she's been through what she's been through. So I kind of want to come here and spoil it, but I mean, if you're gonna read it, read it. Like, I don't know. I hop on these books as fast as I can. uh, so yeah, she's trying to recall what's happened, and she has a method of doing so. So I'm like, what, girl? Like, wait, are you still where you at? You like, you ain't moved? Like, what? I'm like, have you slipped back, girl? Like, you've been there a while. Ain't nobody came to what? Ain't nobody came to pick you up, girl. I don't know. Like, oh. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that book. And I'm like, girl, I'm surprised you went off with somebody, girl. Like, but I guess you felt like she was the person was up to standards, I guess. But uh, you already kind of didn't feel right, with your seating, and then you kind of didn't feel right with the driver. So I'm like, girl, I don't know if it's gonna come down to discernment, Lord. Like, like, and then you try and give people a try and let things be revealed, or do you cut it off? Like, where to cut off at? Because this is like a flowing dynamics with where's the border, and do you let it reveal? Do you say, I'm not reading it? Or do you say, okay, I'm gonna go with the flow and read it? It just seems like it's all intertwined life lessons up in these books. And then there's fantasy. And then you can just enjoy it, and then, life, you can enjoy the uh and enjoyable your enjoyable imaginative self. Who's to say that you can't be imaginative beyond reading, and allow yourself to create your worlds and universes that you are going to explore and have fun. Oh, yeah, that first book that I read twice, that was exploring universes and different worlds and realms. So I was like, yes, this is wonderful. So, but there was a warning also in the first book that I read. A danger, if you will. So the character was like, "You lucky that you got me instead of getting some of the other ones that's really on demon time." I'm paraphrasing just a smidget. Um, Anything else? I changed my my screen for more reading productivity. um I'm also thinking about well, yes, productivity so much so that I haven't I didn't check into my social medias till like I don't know. uh I don't even know till this month maybe. And I was like, oh, I missed it all. I missed all the parties and with social medias, people get on there and stream music and DJ. And I was like, I wonder if they were DJing Christmas songs. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I've been looking into e-readers and looking to see what all I can bring to the technology that I have and how I can convert my devices. So that's what's going down now. I was trying to get my screen to do that thing that another device does within the settings where it has the light screen as your book covers, your current reads. My device doesn't do that. That's specific to the other device that's catered to specific reading device. So what I did was create my own lock screen from a picture that I had taken and that I saw as an opportunity to utilize that as my screen. I also learned how to adjust my screen so that I could utilize it on my home page. Um, I've learned about widgets and I've applied new widgets to my screen for to cater to my reading enjoyment. Um, Utilizing the resources available. Also, I just changed out some widgets that I wasn't using. I hadn't used. They've been sitting there for months, and I was like, I don't use these widgets, so I traded them out. Um, One of them being a book widget, and then another one um, with some possibility of being utilized. I was gonna use one of them, and then I had to set it up. So I was like, okay, I got to get back to you and set you up so you can be ready. So yeah, it's a lot of a few steps of setups with the reading resources. Um, Looking at and what is called what is it called comparing comparing the resources. So there are some that are simple setups, and then there's some that takes a few more steps. So I have utilized all the ones that are simple setups, and I kept looking back at each one and comparing them all, and the simple setups and then the ones that take a couple of more steps, and looking at them and just really really going back and forth, like, do I need it? I mean, it's there. And then uh feeling the joyous excitement of having them there, and then seeing what all I needed to set them up. So at the moment, I don't have everything I need to set them up, or else they probably would have been set up already. So I had to put my brakes. Did I say it? I had to slow down, calm down, utilize the things that I'm able to utilize till perhaps I venture into the other things that need more setup, and then set those things up. But yeah, for now, everything I did get situated with the simple setups, and I even learned about some other resources yesterday. Now, um, for more resources. So I wasn't going to um, utilize that resource, but I was like, well, what you got? What you got? How does it look? How does it look? And then I went on ahead. I learned about it. Went on ahead and hooked it up, and then realized like that's hooked up. But then I tried to hook up the extras, and then the extras is what needs the couple of more steps. It didn't flow through. Like, I tried about 5 times, and it scat cat excuse me, it wouldn't flow all the way through like I thought it should. I'm like, the hookup, I hooked you up over here, why aren't you just flowing all the way through and connecting it? um but yeah, so it's not. So I am able to, maybe, this is what I'm thinking, maybe splitting some resources, like having some resources on my device, and then having the other resources on my phone. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like that. I'm thinking like that because I am conscientious about the space provided on my device, uh, so that it can run well with everything that I have on there. And I also I kind of take that into consideration. It's kind of like a silent halt for me with books, because I'm I'm like, mm, I'm considerate of uh the data usage with downloads. So I don't just download right away. I'll do like, maybe I do a few, like I do a few. But then after that few, I'm like, hesitant. So that's why I don't have all my book club apps downloaded. Like it seemed like it would just be so simple if I would just do that. But then I gotta analyze and see where my space goes and things like that. So I think if I add my phone to the mix, that'll be an additional space, and then I could utilize my phone for my reading as well as my device. And then that'll give me room to, and the green light to download the books that I hadn't downloaded on my device. So I would press the gas on my phone and go ahead and download the rest of those books that I was halting on. So that's how I'm mapping it out right now. That's how I'm looking at it. Um, a few tips, things that have helped me make reading a priority. I took off my social medias on my device because I read more on my device, and I put my social medias on my phone, and I barely I barely go to my phone for my social medias. Like I have pulled up my social medias through my browser, and I'll use it like that, um, so that it's not a an easy app that I can just slip and slide into. When I had the app on my device, you could just it's on when you set it up, then you can just slip in and be like, who this, what that, boo, 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 boo. But because I have to type it into my browser, then I have to sign in. It's like I have since went in and said hi and click, but then I got out of there and then I hadn't been back yet. Like I'm reading. Don't you see my status? My status is reading now. Okay. So that's fun. But with my phone, I don't know how it's gonna be. So I have seen some resources of some books, some videos, movies, cinema. Um, I'm thinking those would go on my phone. That's what I was thinking. I have tried to put the music and movies. I look to see. I I'm like, just do it. Um, on my on my um on my device, but then that's more apps. I was like, do I need another app, Lord? So I was like, okay, just put those apps that you need to take those extra steps on, put those on your phone. So those would be the video, movie, television shows, movie shows, um, and then also the music. That would be the music app. So there's at least two more. However, thinking, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about adding like the other two reading apps. Like I already got, well, I had Kindle on my phone. I got to check and see if it's on there. And I did read, I read Tackle Me on my phone a few months ago, from my Kindle app. Um, But yeah, I'm thinking I'm mapping it out to where I think I'm going to be reading on my phone this year more so than last year. I don't know. The the reading output is updated. So I'm looking forward to reading on my phone. Also, uh, ebooks. I'm thinking the ebooks are going on my phone. We'll see. We'll see. I'm like, this is gonna be new. Like, I don't know. Like, an audiobook on my phone? I mean, the resources are there. So I might even try that. Um, give it all a go. Um, to to broaden the reading enjoyment. Also, I'm thinking bookmarks. I don't think I've made a bookmark. I haven't specifically made a bookmark yet. So that is on the that's in the clouds. How do you say that's in the thoughts? That's in the fatuta at the moment to make some bookmarks this year. I have seen some people already make some excellent bookmarks. They've made some dog ears as well, some dog ear bookmarks. They're like triangles that you can set on the corner of the pages of your book. Um, Also, Outnots has created stickers with uh, her statuses. She's printed out her statuses on sticker paper, and I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, because those statuses are so um like a badge of honor. It's like it's like collecting your Girl Scout badges. It's like collecting Pokemons. It's like collecting bottle caps. Because there are some statuses that I share just so that I can have them. I have downloaded a couple of them, and to be able to print them out, you have them because sometimes they go away and they'll change and they'll update after each book that you read, so it caters your status caters to your status continually progresses as you are adding to the collection of books that you've read. So yeah, I've been enjoying my statuses. I've been uh, taking the picture of the screen and savoring those statuses because sometimes they don't come back. They're like in the moment. So for Altnauts to capture those moments with a sticker, she's printing them out and she's putting them on um her book journal is amazing. It's awesome sauce. Like, let me be like you. I want to know what you're using. Like, what is that? Is it a sticker maker? What is it? I do have a Fomimo. My Fomimo is a thermal printer. Uh, it prints in black and white. So I have heard of some printers that print in color, but I don't know what they are. I'm steady trying to get my head on one of those 8 by 11 foamy molds, so that I could print even more. And those will be black and white as well, I do believe. So yeah, I'm just adding. I'm interested in adding to the collection of printers. Right now, I have a mini foamy mold, and I'm thinking it can work. It can work to um, capture what the status is saying. Um, but I mean, the statuses are in color. You can change the colors and things like that. So it could work. I might try it to see because I hesitate because it's black and white. Um, some the I don't know how the image is going to turn out. I don't know what's going to be able to be visible. Um, and then I can change, the darkness and the lightness. And what that does, it lightens and or darkens the whole image. So the whole image can wind up being faded. It could wind up being blacked out. So I would just have to try it to see. I already know what it's capable of, and I know it could fade out to where you can't see it, and it can black out to where it's not visible. Maybe the middle part will catch some things. The middle setting of medium may catch some things, so I would have to try it and see what it'll catch. Um, if I use my Fomimo now, uh, for that, at the moment I don't have that set up though, but that is a beautiful, clever setup to capture your reading stats and encourage your reading journey to continue. I have set a goal. In 2024, I had how many goals? I had one, two, three, four, five. Five goals. I set reset my goals like 5 times because I met them. I met my first goal, met my second goal, third goal, fourth goal, fifth goal. So this year, how I started, how I set my goal for 2024 is I looked to see how many books I had on my bookshelf. I don't remember if I added the books I had on my wish list. I might have because I did mention my wish list and I did mention reading books from my wish list. I just not I'm it's kind of hazy if I calculated them. Like, okay, so that number started off at 37, 36 or 37. I I think that was a it could have been. It could have been a combination of books on my bookshelf and books on my wish list. It most likely was I don't know. I think it might have been a combination. And I calculated it all up and it wound up being 37 books. I think I started off with 36 and then maybe I added one and then it went to 37. And that's how I started making reading a priority is reading the books off my bookshelf. The 37 books off my bookshelf. And then after I've read those, with the addition of book recommendations that I also concluded, I set the goal at 50 and read a few more books from my wish list and bookshelf. Um, my 50th book was Circe. Uh, I do have on my either my wish list or my bookshelf. I have I think it's something about a mountain and Circe. Is it called Circe's Mountain? It might be something like that. Circe's Mountain, and I think it's book two. It's a continuation. So that's on my list for 2025. Um, that was my book 50, and then I met that, and then 60. I changed it to 60 and met that. So what I'm attempting to say, because I did share this on my social media, is how I increased my books. Um, I became mm, connected with the book clubs, and I started getting active in the book clubs, and that's when my reading increased. I also started reading more than one book at a time. So when I first started, I was reading with the 37 books, I was reading one book at a time. And then from then on out, I started like increasing my books, increasing. I dabbled, if you will, a bit in the different book styles. So there's different book styles that I've heard a whisper about, and that's The first one being reading as a priority, reading the books you have. The second book style for me, what I experienced is like reading multiple books. Another book style that I uh, played around with, I guess you could say, is increasing increasing my speed of reading. Some books went faster. It's just some book I didn't I enjoyed each book for the most part. As far as like speed goes, I enjoyed each book I read in 2024. As far as pacing goes, I all the books I read was okay pace. Now, the reference books that I read, I had to put more effort into those because they were bigger, and so I made them a priority. I put more time into them so that I could uh, read the book. And that's just what it is. You just, um, but yeah, there are different reading styles. It might be some that I haven't been introduced to. So one of them is like, see how many books you can read in a year. I think that's like the basics of it. And to where you're powering through books. I don't feel I did that, but I did feel that I was attempting to read as many books as I could. But yeah, the books that I was reading, they flowed well. They had a great pace. Some of them were faster than others, but none of them, none of them was less than that. All of them was good to go and rolling. Um, I have heard of some books that weren't like that and that takes longer. I didn't read any of those. uh, so I don't know what it took about. Other than those resource books. Now those resource books could be looked at like that, but I wanted to read those books, so that's what I did. Um, so yeah, there's different types. There's different reasons why people read. Uh, this is all new that I just learned last month. A lot of people talking about different types of reading and book clubs things, and I'm like, I really want to listen to you guys' reviews on this because I just started reading. Like, don't stop the flow. Like, let me go. Like actually, I was hearing like um do you read for the numbers or the enjoyment? When you if you reach a goal or if you don't reach a goal, how do you feel about it? Like, are you trying to reach that goal? So that's kind of why I slowed down towards the end of December with my reads, and I enjoyed the books. Now I'm about to say maybe the slowest, but yeah, I did slow down and enjoy each book. Um, and I that the last time I changed my goal from 75 to 80 because I wasn't sure I was gonna meet 75. Lord, I was at 73, 72. I was like, I don't know. I was like, what am I gonna read to even reach 75? And then um I read and I was at 74. I'm like, what am I gonna read to reach 75? And then I read whatever I read and reached 75, and then I was like, I got some time left. Uh what am I gonna do now? Am I gonna set it to 100, or am I gonna set it to a reasonable number because we in the middle of December? So I set it to 80, and then I was hearing um like basically, I don't know, just people's, I guess, experience, or people's, a little bit of people's opinion, but I wasn't trying to hear it. I'm like, I ain't trying to hear your opinion just yet. Like, I just started. Let me cook. Like, so I got to like 76. I got to 77. I updated my status. I was like, okay, 77 looking good. It's looking mighty good. Yes. And then I got to 78. Like, I really want to swing it. Like, I was enjoying it. It was fun. I love seeing the numbers go up though. And so I got to 78. I was like, okay, it's still more time in the month. Like, I mean, I could sit and not read for the rest of the month. I mean, why do that? So I read another book, enjoyed it. I got to like 79. I was like, okay. So at 79, I kind of floated. I was like, okay. So my new goal is set to 80. If I don't reach it, it's cool, because I just saw somebody say that they had set uh their goal to like a number, and then they had only read like maybe half of that number that they set, and they said they cool with it, they cool. So I was like, okay, okay, all right, I hear you, I can be cool with it too. Like, yeah, like ease up off the pressure. Yes. This reading that we're doing is on our terms for our enjoyment. So I was at 79, and I was like, 79 is cool. I had updated my status and everything because it was, towards the end of, well, you don't know, but here we go. It was towards the end of the month. So we had our reading wrap up status. So each time I would wrap up, like at 77 I wrapped up, 70, I think maybe 78, 79 I wrapped up, because I thought those were going to be the last books that I read. So 79, I was at 79. I was like, I got time. Like, I started knowing like how much it takes me to read. Like, I was like, if a book is this long, I got time to read it. I had like 2 days. I was like, I can read a book. Like, ain't really no reason for me not to reach it. Like, I mean, I ain't trying, I ain't pushing it, I'm chill, you know. And then I got a book that I wanted to read. So that was like even it was it was good. Like, I would like to read this book. I got time. So read the book, enjoyed it, and yeah. So uh, remember that the goals we set are just there to motivate us to keep going if we want to, if we choose to keep going. Um, the books are for enjoying. We are reading on our own time, on our own terms, and our free time. This is something we choose and do. Um, Hobby, enjoyment, for the love of reading, whatever. So yeah, it should. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what them other folks going through, but I can imagine. I saw a glimpse of it with myself reading as much as I was, but I was having fun too. But I also see where it could possibly turn into too much reading. I don't know. Is there such thing? Um, that's why I was like, let me cook first, and then maybe I'll return to that subject. Like, let me enjoy this. Like, I had fun 2024 with the reading on my bookshelf. Yes, I still have books on my bookshelf that I have to read. I did read all the books on my digital bookshelf, one of them. I do have a maybe about 8 more books I have on another digital bookshelf that I am gonna have to map out to put into my reading rotation so that they can get read, Lord, because the way I'm going, I'm just reading books off the top. Like, I ain't even touching my books. So that's been fun to read a book like right off rip. That's been so fun. Also, um, with these new resources, I get to read titles and book genres that I didn't have access to in 2024. So now I have my resources have expanded. So I just been feeling abundance. I've been, been feeling abundance up in here with the book titles. Um, and I have started re re um utilizing a book journal a little bit. I'm attempting to bring it on in, like continue, got to continue, keep going, growing, flowing. Um, that was one of my first resource gifts was the reading journal, and I hadn't even looked at the book review. I got a book review resource that I hadn't even looked at because I just felt so abundant that this is available and I get to incorporate it uh, with my reading activities. So all of it can coincide together. So I started with the reading journal and I've been seeing what that looks like, and I'm ready to see what other resources I have to get into that. Um, I have started taking a little bit of notes and sharing those. I've also started um, leaving book reviews in the book tracking uh, medias. Now, what kind of has halted is my own book reviews, my own um, blogs have taken a halt. I've noticed Um, and I just didn't keep up with that. I didn't pass the baton in that area while I was reading those books. Um, I think my last book was my own personal last blog was maybe the next best flirt. That might have been. I might have created some more blogs after that. I am the post that I do have some posts in progress that has been halted. I hadn't worked on them in a while. I have started on them. I was writing a blog about my Scholastic's experience and my introduction to my first R.L. Stein book, and then the book I read after I completed my first R.L. Stein book. So that's a whole blog that's in draft right now. Also, um, moving to movies. I have a movie review. I don't know. Do I have that in drafts or did I publish it? I was working on a movie review of, I think, Chucky. I don't know if he's called Chucky or Child's Play in the newest movie. I think he. I don't know. I hadn't seen it in a while, but I did watch it. But it's been a while now. It's been like, I don't know, maybe a month. Maybe not quite a month, but maybe a month. And or yeah, about a month. Maybe a month or two, a month and a half. I don't know, maybe even a few months. It's somewhere in there. I started a review of that movie. I may or may not have finished it. So that I did update that the last update. So it's still sitting there. Those two things are steady sitting there. Um, Maybe the movie review has been republished um, in the coffee shop. I did share that in the coffee shop versus on my blog. I didn't put that on my blog for some reason. Um, but the blog that I'm working on about my Scholastic's uh, and Goosebumps, that'll be on my personal blog. Also, in the description box at the moment is my personal bookshop of books that I've read in 2024. Not all of them. I halted. I did take a big halt and I didn't add December. Yes, I did. I think I added. I think the last book I added was Dead of Winter. I think Dead of Winter. I don't know if I added In a Holidays or Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, Nightmare Before Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know if I added those. Um, A Christmas Carol. or some more books that I read, and I may or may not have added it to the books to the bookstore. Um, you can utilize the search bar and type in keywords and titles and authors, um, for anything you're looking for other than what I have presented in my book front. I do have three book front, three bookshelves on in my book front on my book in my bookstore, and you'll see them labeled as such. Um, so yeah, this 2025 is beautifully thriving. It's presented reading uh, resources that I have welcomed into my reading activities. So, yeah, I'll be getting fluid with those and incorporating those. And that's what it's looking like. What have you read? What was the last book you purchased? Um, Audiobooks count. Audiobooks count. Um, ebooks. Um, Status updates. If you're reading status updates, you're reading. Yes. Give yourself a hand clap. You are reading. Um, so yeah. Um, when I was sharing my statuses for each month, and it went back to some books that I was attempting to recall to tell you all the titles and things like that. It's all in the status. So I shared it on the social medias. All the books I was attempting to recall, I was letting you guys know that some of the books you can get books here on YouTube. There are full blown books, full audio books available via YouTube, and I read a couple of them, and a couple of them I put in my book reading tracker, and then one I I didn't. Maybe a couple I didn't put in my reading tracker. I just read them. So yeah, um, you can listen to audiobooks on YouTube. Um, Dragon. I want to say the book I was trying to tell you guys, but about that is on the YouTube is called Dragon Called or something like that. Dragon Dragon Calls. It's all on the media. I shared it so you guys can see for yourself. Um, but yeah, I I read that book thinking it was close to a book that had been recommended to me, and at the time I couldn't get that book that was recommended to me. So when I saw Dragon Calls, I was like, this sounds similar. It's not the same, but it's similar. So I read it. But now with the resources that I have, I'm going back and looking up those books that I couldn't get in 2024 and looking to see if I can get them now. So a lot of excitement to see what will pop up, what will be revealed in 2025. What's going to be revealed? What so uh, I'm enjoying reading. Also, uh, I I have a web page that I have worked on, and I think it may be ready to be shared with the public, um, to give more details about my love for reading and the books that I've had in my collection and was introduced to, and how I started off reading. Um, Really, R.L. Stein Goosebumps book felt like a pop off for me as far as my reading goes. Like I had collections of books. I had the encyclopedias and the Disney books and the Dr. Seuss books. I had all of those books. And a lot plays into grasping enjoyment of reading, because I could say Goosebumps popped off. Okay, so there were pop off moments. So R.L. Stein would be a pop off moment. And then years later, after reading The Oath, because the next book I read was The Oath by, I think, Frank something. uh, and I didn't, okay, so writing this post about my reading experience and how my enjoyment for reading has blossomed, I don't know, I kind of, like, I didn't make it a big deal, but rereading my post for editing has underlined something I didn't make a big deal, but maybe could have been seen as a big deal. I do share a interview with R.L. Stein and how his books were considered, and then me editing my post. Like two and two is being put together, and I didn't realize the context. All I was seeing it mostly as was the vast increase in pages, but there's also possibly like a context that is there. I just, it, so I was like, wow, just coming to grips with that, because I don't know if that's why I was presented The Oath, because Goosebumps was the type of book that it is, and then The Oath being the type of book that it is. I didn't put it together because I was young. I was like, but hearing his interview and what he says people thought of his books, and then the mention of people trying to get his books banned, and then the book that I got after being proud that I completed this chapter book, and then I get this book. Like, what you saying? Like, there's something that's said but not said with the next book that I received after I read Goosebumps. Like, I went to school, I picked it out, I read it, I enjoyed it. I was proud of myself for finishing it from front to back. I was sharing with family members, hey, I read this book. I read this book all the way through. And then same family member says, oh yeah, uh-huh, and then comes back with the oath. And I read the oath, like, I don't know how many times I read that book. Maybe 4 times. Four. I'm thinking I read it 5 times, but I read it like 4 times after reading after reading Goosebumps. So yeah, there's something wasn't said, something was, like implied or something. But the Oath is its own gruesome book anyway, but it's trying to make a message and stuff like that. But it just went through the editing. I realized that the reading experience I had and his interview and what he shared in his interview had some similarities that made me say, I knew without knowing, or I didn't know, but that's what I was faced with the book that was presented to me after reading a Goosebumps book. Like, here, girl, get you this book right. um, so yeah, that's in the works. I have shared his interview so that you can view his interview. Um, Also, the abundance that I feel with this reading, these reading resources that I've been gifted with, I saw, I don't know if it was an interview, it was, I guess, a documentary interview, more so a documentary with Toni, oh my goodness, her last name, Toni Morrison. And she was sharing, and I saw this yesterday. She, from the book, the video resources, and she was sharing what was available to read when she was reading and when she began to write, and the viewpoints of other writers and their exclusions of characters and the camaraderie that it had. I'm paraphrasing with that word or using a similar word. So I was able to see that. I was like, yes, yes. Like, I don't know if it would have happened any other way, but I was utilizing them resources, not only, books, um, also, you know, documents. Well, I mean, yeah, documents. I hadn't utilized that one though, but uh, videos, and I got to see one of Toni Morrison. I think that's her last name. I did add some of her books to my reading list. The Bluest Eyes, um, I have available to me, and I think it's on my reading list. Um, so yeah, I'm like, yes, I get to partake. So thank you all so much for what you've shared on your reading journeys, how you've blossomed, how you've altered what works for you, what may work for others, the vices and pleasures. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have taken heed and I have applied, and I am mapping out how I will utilize these gifts and how they will unwrap and um, expose the knowledge, the vast knowledge that's within. So December was a time. December was a time. I enjoyed December. Um, with the reveal of these resources, and then I just revealed some resources yesterday, so they keep coming, bring it on. Let me know how you guys are uh utilizing the resources and what you have available and how you're utilizing what you have, uh, to cater to you, because that's what everyone else is doing. So I was like, okay, let me cater to me. Like, let me cater to my reads. Like, and let me know what songs you all are listening to while you're reading. I have dedicated a few songs to my TBR, and I've shared that. Um, I think that is so fun. And then a book that I was reading reminded me of a song, reminded me of an actor. Oh, so I like putting all those things together and seeing them all together like that, just to make those connections and, to broaden the enjoyment of it all, to bring it all together, to incorporate, to live it, to live the is that living? Is that living the books? Because I have seen somebody talking about another book I did add to my wish list, and they were saying how, and then I saw a thumbnail is this kind of similar, about people reading books wrong. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch you yet. Just let me cook. I just started. But I did watch that video to see how I can read right. So, um, they recommended the book. I downloaded the book, or either I put it on my wish list. I think I put it on my wish list. And then I took some notes. They were saying to it's some type of word. I don't know if I'm gonna say it right. It's something like sanitize, but that might be wrong. But like set up, it's a S in there. I think it's started with an S, and then there's a Z in there. I think sterilize. It's like note taking. it's like questions um when reading. So I I took notes on it, and I'm willing to uh, uh, try that method of reading, taking uh, making questions for the readings. I also took a couple of notes on some things that I wanted to present to this stream. So note taking may increase. 2024 was off the dome. Um, but yeah, I was feeling like I needed to take some notes, and I did jot down some notes before this live stream. And I hadn't even got to the movie, so maybe that'll be another. Let's see, another live stream if I remember. Um, because I'm gonna be done gone on and watch some more movies. So I'll just go ahead and mention Sling AMC Thriller during the holiday season was was a treat. Um, I said Sling, yes, Sling, AMC Thriller, Sling, the AMC Thriller channel. Like each movie, like I did see a review of that, and some of the movies presented of that, and I think I watched all of them that were in that were recommended. I think I did see all of them that was recommended. Also, I enjoyed the Christmas horror anthology that I like with William Shatner. I enjoyed it a few times. I attempted to watch it like on December 31st, but I missed the date. I missed the time. I didn't time it. I didn't set an alarm, and it was okay because I had seen it like I don't know a few times already. So I was like, yeah. I mean, yeah. I was like, I'm good. I saw it enough. Like, um, the red one. The red one was good. I watched the red one. I think I mentioned that I was gonna watch it or not. I don't. I didn't watch it when I said I was. I watched it a little later on. It was good though. It was a treat. It was a treat. Um, there's an actress in there that I was surprised to see in there. And when she came on, I called her by what she went by in her own series. I'm like, what are you doing in here? Like, I'm like, what you doing over here, girl? Like, I was like, yes, I'm glad to see you. And so I had fun seeing her. Also, the green one. Okay, so this year, that well 2024, it was the red one. The previous year, I don't know exactly what year. It could have been the previous that is that previous year or maybe a year after that. I think it was the year before 2023. So maybe it was 2022. The green one. I don't know, it could have been 2023. The green one, I didn't watch it this year, but I did see a thumbnail of it and it reminded me of it. It's all right. It was all right. If you want to watch the green one. It's like a Grinch, how the Grinch stole Christmas, but in movie form, in like live movie form, not animated. So that's why I was hyped to see it when I saw it. But yeah, I didn't see it this year. I watched the red one this year and I loved it. I watched it a couple of times. Um, and then after the red one, I wanted to watch the Last Dance. I don't I didn't watch the Last Dance. I started watching Carnage, but then I turned it off because it's not the Last Dance. And it doesn't have Tony Todd in it like I thought it would. Um but I'm looking forward to the game. Like, who has the game? Where is the Spider-Man Carnage gamers? Like, where you at? Like, I'm about to be that. Like, I've heard that the game was gonna come out. When is it gonna be released? Like, I was ready for it to be released when I heard about it. Um, so maybe I'll look and closer into that because the year I thought it was gonna come out, it didn't, and I don't know when it's gonna come out. I haven't heard any updates. I hadn't seen anybody playing it. Uh, so yeah, but yeah, the red one was cool. Actually, I was like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I called it the what did I call it? I called it the the Christmas movie with the cussing in it. That's what I called it. I said, how did I say it? I think I said, "Do you want to watch the Christmas movie with all the cussing in it?" Something like that. I was saying that. I said something like that. I was like, wow. I was like, that's what it is. I was like, this is an adult Christmas movie. I guess I don't know. Like, where we going? Like, is it for adults? I mean, hey, can anybody say the word? We are we breaking the barriers to where the little children can say these words for Christmas? Like, what is going on? So that was the red one, and that is it. That's it. All the movies, all the books.